I am going to start right away, and I'm going to share my screen here for those of you that are in the Zoom. So the pain points that I'm pretty certain that you know, a lot of you are thinking about is this whole idea of getting back to quote unquote normal, right? It's wonderful, and what a beautiful opportunity that we are you know, coming to the last part of what we've been living through since March of 2020, right? But I want to point out a couple of things that you as parents, I want you to think about in this whole idea of going back to normal. So number one, please, 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 let's get into a habit. Let's start a hashtag. Let's start into the habit of please volunteering your information about whether or not you are vaccinated, whether or not you are comfortable with or without masks, and whether and what are your risk choices. You know, this is going to become, I'm predicting that it's going to become difficult once people start coming out into the world in, you know, as it pertains to play dates and family gatherings, and just kind of getting back to doing those social things that we were used to doing before. So first, with the adults, I want to encourage everybody to get into a habit of volunteering your information so that you don't make the other person guess and or feel uncomfortable asking you. Because unfortunately, the whole thing about masks and vaccinations and everything has become a thing, you know, has become a you know, some sort of like virtue call. And it's just one more thing that parents are being criticized about, whether you are on the side of like, no, I don't feel comfortable with the vaccine right now, or whether you're on the polar other side of the segment, which you're thinking, well, you are a neglectful parent if you don't vaccinate your children. So to stay out of that realm, I highly recommend that in the people in your circle, in the families that you do play dates with, please volunteer. Say, hey, me and my partner are fully vaccinated. I look forward to us to you bringing your child to our home. So that's something that I want to recommend for all of you in this little tiny phase of getting back to normal. Number two, let's think about the children. Okay, so just like it took all the children in all the different age groups a little time to get used to wearing the mask, to get used to staying home, to get used to not seeing friends, please allow your children the same amount of time to getting back to normal. Different personality types are going to respond in different ways. So I want to make you conscious that those of you that have children that kind of lean on the side of being a little more anxious, a little more scared, it's going to be uncomfortable for them to go to a function indoors with their mask off, even if they're at abuela's house, right? Please be mindful to respect that amount and that transition for your child. So if you have a child that leans on anxious, that is kind of like really wondering whether or not they are safe, honor them. Allow them to wear the mask indoors if they feel like it. Don't force any new normal, even if you're so excited that finally everybody is off and running and happy and we could be normal again. Please, please, please give your children at least a month to 6 weeks to have more than one experience where the experience doesn't like follow the COVID restrictions and the quarantine restrictions that we have had up until this point. Also, pace yourself, pace your child, and pace your family. I want you to think about that right now in the getting back to normal phase. I want to give you the example for those of you that are in Florida, right? Because we live this a lot. Because I know that people come into the Zoom from all sorts of places. Most of last year, it was like we were in the middle of a hurricane, right? We were inside of our homes, we were waiting for the hurricane to pass. Right now, the phase of where we are, both in a psychological sense, is that we are at the place of, in this getting back to normal scenario, of like after the hurricane, when you open the door and you assess your backyard and you see what tree fell, when you come out of the room, those of us that survived Hurricane Andrew, and you notice, oh my God, I have to replace the kitchen. So right now, I want you to please pace yourself. Don't go to 182 gatherings with your children immediately. Don't give pace your adolescent and tell them, hey, let's take it slow. Let's see who you're going to see and who you're not going to see. Because right now, all of us are slowly coming out of a collective crisis. The entire earth is slowly coming out of a collective crisis. So I want everybody to really, really, truly take a moment, slow down, and assess, what did you learn during this time? What do you absolutely want to change? And because this is a beautiful reset for everyone. This is a great opportunity to start over. So back to this idea of getting back to normal, I really, really want you to think about that. And also, please allow your children to have any and all possible reactions to going back out into the world. All of us are socially rusty. And this is especially true of anybody under the age of 10, right? So, and especially anybody under the age of 5. So expect your child, if they to have a hard time getting back into a big group and playing in a big group, and just getting back to normal. So again, pace yourself. Slow down. Getting back to normal means that we carefully look and assess. Over the weekend, one of my favorite pediatricians, who is also a spokesperson for the American Pediatric Association, did an awesome Instagram live. I will email it to you guys that are on in the Zoom, to let you know, to give you that Instagram live so you can follow her, because she's a great pediatrician, but she gave some really good information about those of you that are vaccinated. If you are a parent and you are vaccinated, you will not bring COVID home. So go out, go out on a date, go out into the world if you haven't been out, if you have been somebody that has been very, very careful. Vaccinated adults can be around unvaccinated kids without a mask. And this is what the Pediatric Association is saying. So this is really good information for those of you that are vaccinated. If there is no vaccination, then a mask is necessary for the adult who's not vaccinated, and for the child and the infant that is not vaccinated. Now, here's something tricky that I want you to think about as it pertains to children 5 and younger. Since they are not vaccinated, they are recommending that the younger children that are still not vaccinated, when they're in an indoor spaces, you should continue using kind of like the mask rules. So the best way to model that for young children is for you to do it as well. So I have already gotten this question of like, well, I don't have to wear my mask anymore because I'm vaccinated, but I have a 3, a 4, a 2-year-old that I'm going to have to still make them wear their mask. To keep it simple, to keep it easy, I would wear a mask as well. just for those of you that have the littles. And again, remember that outdoors, everybody could be with a mask off, whether you're vaccinated or not. But in those indoor settings, I would recommend that if you have children under 4, that they really need to see you modeling this behavior still. And expect them to ask you questions why the adults don't have their mask on. And you can say that they have a vaccine and that they're safe. And now you're doing the opposite of what we did in the beginning, right? So that's really, really important. It's very, very, very important. And finally, if you planned, and the Pediatric Association is recommending that all children 12 and older get vaccinated against COVID. And you can, find out where to do that online. There's a lot of resources, especially in Miami-Dade County. And then what the Pediatric Association is letting us know is that any child that is fully vaccinated, meaning that they have their second dose, if it's a 2-dose vaccine, which it is because Pfizer is the one that's for 12-year-olds, and they have gone the 2 weeks after that second dose, then your child is able to go anywhere because they are protected. So for those teenagers and those middle schoolers that have been dying to get out there, think about whether or not you're going to vaccinate them, because that is the safest way to get them back out into the world. But again, check, like I've said this since March of 2020, you as a family needs to sit down, wonder, and think about your risk management, your risk assessment, and what you're comfortable with, right? So that's super important. So that's getting back to quote unquote, normal. I also kind of want to put out there, because I've been hearing a lot about getting back to normal and celebrating, and I hate to be Debbie Downer, but I just want to bring to the attention of everyone, and I will do this from the mountaintops. For close to 600,000 people in the United States, they are definitely not getting back to normal, because for some of them, they have lost a family member. And statistically, a lot of us know someone that has happened to, or we know, or your children are going to hear that a grandparent or somebody died of COVID once the school year comes. So it's not true normal, because that's a lot of people that have died, and grief, death, and loss are going to be topics that we are going to be talking about. Back to this idea of like, it's after the hurricane and we're assessing, right, the result of what just happened to us. And one of those results is that death and grief is going to be part of the conversation for a lot of children. So if you haven't thought about it, especially those of you that have children, 7 and younger, think about what religious beliefs you want to share with your children about death, what beliefs you want to share with children about death. That is definitely something to think about and assess in getting back to normal, because part of this normal is that there is close to 600,000 families who have lost a family member. And that may touch your family, even if you haven't lost one as well. So that's something to think about. Okay, another pain point, and it's a pain point again as a result of this pandemic time. A lot of you kind of went loosey-goosey with the screens, and not because you're bad parents, but because you had to, right? And we now, in this idea of getting back to normal, we have to think about the do's and don'ts about screens. And I want to highly recommend that we get back to something close to normal. What I love, and those of you that have teenagers, and I know that I had 12% of you that had children, 13 and older, this is a generation of adolescents that are really going to appreciate and come back to the appreciation of what it is to be face to face with their social group. So honor that for them, right? They've also really truly learned about the importance of health. So don't lose those pieces. And with the screen, with the adolescents, you know, what the pediatric association recommends, you know, 2 hours in a 24-hour process, including, you know, TV, screen, you know, video games, social media. So be mindful of that. And, you know, I personally, as a developmental person, do not recommend social media, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat for anybody under the age of 13. And that is because it's not that those platforms are the devil or something horrible. It's just that developmentally, a lot of children under 13 cannot manage the impulses that we get when we post something and we're waiting for the response. Every single one of you on this call today, you know, all of you are when you post something on social media, how many times do you check to see how many likes you have? And you are grown-ups, right? So for children 13 and so the children 13 and older who are well-adjusted and not leaning on depressed, they are like us. They're like, oh my God, I posted, and they check and they check, and they know that they shouldn't check. But the children, you know, like 13 and younger, we're asking, it's like asking a 2-year-old who's learning to walk to climb the side of a hill. So I know that a lot of people went loosey-goosey with TikTok with children younger than 13. And you're telling me, Lina, I want to kill you. How in the world am I going to take that away from my child? Well, what you can do is, if you have a child between the ages of 5 and 13, talk to the parents in their friend group and create a WhatsApp for them, and let them share just with their friends the videos that they were creating on the TikTok anyway, right? The videos that they want to create on YouTube. Allow them to do that on a WhatsApp group that you are curating, that you are managing, and then they get that likes and from safe and with one another. And how do you tell them that you're going to pull them off the TikTok? Well, you tell them that you made a mistake. Mommy made a mistake. I shouldn't have let you be on the TikTok. You're not 13 yet. And you know what? TikTok says that people on their platform have to be 13. And again, why are you doing that? Because your task as a parent is to keep your child healthy and safe. And that's it, right? Not happy, right? And again, please be mindful. Now, screens for children younger than 5. The Pediatric Association doesn't want you to do more than an hour, and they don't want you to do screen time that is unsupervised. And again, we got loosey-goosey and we stopped doing that. But I want you to think of the screen for children, you know, 7 and younger, that screen could be a book or it could be a bag of candy. Right? You would never hand a bag of candy to your child to keep them quiet, to keep them, you know, in the corner, not bothering you, right? You would feel crazy, right? So don't do that with the screen either. Do you think about when should I, you know, can I be strategic about when they watch Moana? Can I be strategic about when they're watching a 22-minute, you know, video TV show, so that I can cook, so that I can answer those emails, so that I can take a shower? Yes, but notice what I said, it's 22 minutes or the hour and 30 minutes for the movie that you're strategically placing for your child. But again, every time you hand the screen to your child, it could be a book, an amazing book of knowledge and information, or it could be a bag of candy. And I want you to treat the screen with young children, especially children 7 and younger, just like you treat a book, right? You sit with them, you read it to them, you curate what you are doing with your child. And as it pertains to screens, we are raising digital citizens. And it's just like when we taught them to cross the street. We hold their hand, then we let them walk next to us, and then we let them cross the street alone. Everybody that's under 8 years old needs their hand held when they're using their screen. They do not have the cognitive and or emotional ability to stop using the screen. And your goal cannot be that they happily hand you the screen. That's not going to happen if they're under 8. Your goal needs to be that you are consistent and predictable to when you pull the screen away from them, and just expect them to have the natural human emotional response of falling apart with sadness because that pleasure is gone. Okay, so that's the trick to screens. Now, summer and your family. Summer, 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 summer. Everybody's thinking about summer. Camps. Here's my recommendation. If the children are under 5, don't get fancy pants. Don't just send them to the preschool that they've been to all year long. They need the consistency. They need the regularity. They need, children under 5 need predictability first and foremost. So if your children were in a preschool, put them in the preschool camp. If your young children under 5 were not in a preschool, know that it's going to take them time to adjust if you leave them in any sort of summer camp. For children anywhere between kindergarten to 2nd grade, expose them to different activities. This is the age group where they are trying out different things. Let them try music, let them try theater, let them try a STEM camp, let them try a sports camp, because we want them to expose them to as many kind of like extracurricular activities that we can do during the summer if you're privileged enough to afford one. And not everybody is, but it's good that they get like kind of like a buffet of different things that they can do, because eventually somewhere between 3rd grade and up, the child will tell you, I only like to go to STEM camp and I don't want to do that sports camp that makes me sweaty. So that's true. For those of you that are in Florida and or in California or any place where there's a lot of water, when in doubt, pick a swimming camp, because swimming in our cities that are coastal is safety. So again, remember, when in doubt, choose a safety and health decision as a parent, because we don't make children happy. We keep children healthy and safe. I got tongue twisted there. And then the last piece is, please, everybody, especially those of you that have children 13 and older, please, please, please do nothing. Let them rest. Let them do nothing. Let the elementary school children be bored. Boredom is the impetus for creativity. Doing nothing for an adolescent is delicious. We are killing them with activities. So be mindful that in the summer months, especially after the 1.5 years that we have had, be mindful of when you're letting the elementary school children be bored, and be mindful of when you're letting the adolescents do nothing. Whatever they want, just sleep, eat, watch Friends, leave them alone. Stop overscheduling the middle schooler and the high schooler. It's more important for them to kind of de-stress, because our stress response, our nervous system needs those pockets of active rest, active rest. You're doing that naturally. So be mindful of that. And next school year, although we're going back to quote unquote normal, a lot of children in all age groups are going to feel a little bit scared and a little bit excited. This is from My Little Pony. Pinkie Pie of My Little Pony says this all the time. I didn't make this up. Your children are going to feel scare-sighted. So be mindful If you are traveling, if you're doing a road trip, if you're flying to Brazil, please be back at least 2 weeks before school starts and get back to the regular routine of school in those 2 weeks. Please, please, please don't come back from a vacation the Sunday before the Monday of the first day of school. So that's it for me on the pain points and talking about what I imagine that all of you are dealing with. Now is the time when I take questions from those of you that are on Zoom. So somebody has a raised hand, so I'm going to ask you to go ahead and unmute yourself and ask me your question. Hi.
Hi, Lina. Thank you so much for doing this. I always appreciate that. And thank you for everything you've said. There are a lot of things I hadn't thought about, so it's very helpful. My question. So I have 2 daughters. One is 4 and one is 2.5. They have very strong personalities and get very strict or fixed on how things should be or the order of them. So for example, if I come home and I park on usually my husband's parking spot, they're like, no, that's daddy's parking spot. Or if I give one or the other different plates that they usually don't eat, like I give Anastasia Catalina's place and vice versa, they go, a bit crazy. And that's fine. I understand that some sort of control and being safe and everything, but sometimes they go ballistic, especially when they're very tired. So last week we had a case where usually their father brushes their teeth, and I was brushing their teeth this time, and I didn't do it the way their dad did, and they went crazy, like nonstop crying, furious. So my question is, what should I do on those cases?
Okay, so first I want to answer your question by saying it's perfectly normal. So right before I just said that children under 5 need things to be predictable. Mm-hmm. So the fact that you're thinking, oh my God, I need my children to be flexible. Flexibility of thought is an executive function skill that children do not fully develop or begin to practice until they're 8 years old. So lack of predictability and too much flexibility creates lack of safety in young children. Right? But something as, oh, mommy, you're parking in daddy's spot. No, right? That we do want to give them the gray, right? Not the black and white concrete of that. So in the moment, so again, don't worry that it's not normal, right? Just know that it's normal. But in the moment, what you say to them is like, you're right. This is usually daddy's spot, but today mommy is parking here, and then fill in the blank of why. Mm-hmm. And then if they cry, if they scream after you give them the information, that is just their neurological emotion response of like being like, but this is weird. And you don't have to do anything to that. Just be like, I know it's weird. And then breathe and calm yourself so that they are calm.
Okay.
And do that every single time. Yes, you're right. We usually, take a bath and then we brush our teeth. But today we started with the teeth and then tell them the why. But the crying part of it, you don't have to do anything with. You just have to wait it out with love. Okay. But is it normal? Yes. Do you have to worry about it? Nope. And good job. I want to give you a gold star because as a developmental person, I know that your routine and your patterns of rules and boundaries are predictable, and that's why they're falling apart. Because you're so good at it that when you don't do it correctly, they're like, what the hell, lady? What's going on with you? So good job, and keep up. Most of the time, I want you to be as predictable and as rigid with your routine and your boundaries as possible. Okay?
Thank you.
All right. Perfect. Okay, I'm going to take one of the questions from the Q&A. So it says, hi, Lina. I'm struggling with my 2.5-year-old and holding boundaries. When it is bath time, he will come in, change his mind, and run out over and over. Then I say, fine, no bath, and then he throws a 30-minute major tantrum. How do I handle this? Hold the boundary and suffer the tantrum over and over again? Yes. So back to the theme of children under 5 need predictability, right? So if every day I have dinner, I, do a dance, you do freeze dance, and then I go to the bathroom to take a shower, then that's what I do. With a 2.5-year-old, the running away is a game. So to kind of preempt that running away, let's say that your routine is like, dinner and then bath, right? When you're ready to go to the bath, you could say, oh, it's bath time, I'm gonna chase you to the bath. And then like use that momentum that they have to want to run, to get that energy out, to go towards the bath instead of when they're playful and in the bath. And let's say that you did that and they're 2, and little tiny 2-year-olds really like to try to control the world. So that's the reason why they don't want to get in the bath. When they run away, don't follow them. Whenever a child runs away, if they're in a safe setting, don't follow them. If they're in the Target parking lot, scream, chase them, catch them, and pick them up and make a big deal about it. But in your house, when they run away from you for not following a pattern, don't follow them. Stay put. Don't say one clean scent, because as you know, 2, 3, and 4-year-olds are always constantly checking in with you. So if you don't follow them, they're going to come back to you. So that's important. But, and don't ever say, okay, no bath, because I want you to stick, especially with bedtime and morning routine. I want you to stick to the routine no matter what. So keep that up. And again, is it normal? Yes. And it's, the way to manage it is to make sure that you are following the pattern of your routine. And yes, hashtag embrace the tantrum, because the tantrum is perfectly normal in this age group. Okay, I'm going to go to another question. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hello. Hi, Lina. How are you?
Good.
Thank you for doing this again. And I have a question with my son. So my son is he's very he sticks to routine. He's very organized with his things. But playtime lately has become something where he can't lose. If he loses, he'll have a tantrum. So playtime becomes very stressful for him. Mm-hmm. Instead of being fun, it's stressful. And most of the times I let him win, but I also wonder, he needs to learn that playtime is that he's gonna lose sometimes, so how to go about doing that?
So everybody, I sort of know this mama, so I sort of know that this little person is probably what, 6?
He's 5. Yes, he's almost 6.
Okay, so yay. Okay. And that's why I just know her. So don't worry, everybody. So, okay. So it's, again, I love the questions for today because they're developmental questions. Normal. So children, school-age children in particular, and really kindergarten to 2nd grade, what they're dealing with is that black and white thinking that they have. And within that black and white thinking that they have, if they lose, that means that they're a loser. And that's why they fall apart, because they don't have the gray of thinking, well, I lost today, but I'm not gonna, but maybe next time if I do something different, I won't. So Lina, do I let him win all the time? No, not at all. Lina, do I have to put up with him, cheating, lying, screaming, telling me he hates me because he lost Monopoly? Yes. Why? Because the lesson that your child is learning is dealing with the sadness and the disappointment of losing. But the fact that it's so hard for him to lose is because his cognitive ability is more and more concrete. He puts everything into buckets of good and bad. So you have to be the gray, right? And for children between the ages of 5 and 8, so kindergartners all the way to 4th grade, even 5th grade, take the tip is to do a yes and. Yes. Yes, baby boy, you totally lost and you're feeling like a loser. You're feeling disappointed. You're feeling like you're never going to win again. And remember that the next time we play, you have an opportunity to do it differently, right? So don't go quickly into, no, this is fun. We're supposed to be having fun. Because his concrete brain, if you go there first, won't listen to you.
Okay.
And this is true for homework. This is true for you know, you kissed the other sibling more, you know. Yes, baby, of course you're sad because I gave your brother 3 kisses and I gave you just 1. You're right. And remember that you were here for 3 years and I kissed you for 3 years before this baby came. So do that yes and with this age group, and then they will be better at it. Okay, so normal, and yes, let him loose. Very important. And then respira y a ver ahí, tranquilita, while he loses his mind.
Thank you so much.
No worries. All righty, so let me go to the next question over here in the Q&A. Let me make sure that, no, there's nothing on the chat. Okay, so the next question on the question and answer area in the Zoom, those of you that are on Clubhouse, sorry, I'm only answering the questions of those on the Zoom, but if you ever want to get on here, we'll talk about it at the end. Okay, the question is, when my 5-year-old becomes angry or frustrated, he destroys whatever is at his reach within our home. I want the consequence to be directly related to the incident. However, sometimes I can't think of any. And so I will either take away his TV privileges for half the morning or half the evening, depending when it happened. Any advice? This is a big question because your 5-year-old is showing us in this behavior that they're having a hard time controlling maybe frustration, disappointment, delay of gratification, which is what I was talking about before with the screens, when you take the screen. So what's happening for your child is that they're getting physically overwhelmed with emotion, and that's why they have to do that release, that punching, that release, that physical release. Anger and explosive energy kind of helps us as human beings to release the energy of the emotion. Emotion has 2 parts. One part is physical, what we feel in our body, right? The tension in our jaw, the fast pace of our heart, the tension in our shoulders, the stomach aches when we're scared. So the body and the brain asks, wants us to go through that stress process. So the throwing is your child trying to like manage this big emotion that has overtaken him. So in the moment, please do not scream or punish him. In the moment, we have to help him calm down. So he gets frustrated and you say, all right, buddy, you're really frustrated and your body is asking you to break things. No, let's settle down. Let's breathe. And then you start breathing. Don't throw that. What are you doing? Oh my God. That's the worst thing you can do because his nervous system is already on high alert, and your high-pitched scream or if you keep doing that, I'm going to take away your iPad, is only going to make his nervous system get bigger and bigger and bigger and more explosive. So in the moment, it's about picking up what he's throwing and saying, buddy, you have to calm down your body. You have to calm down your body. I am assuming that this little tiny 5-year-old, after he breaks everything, he probably says that he's sorry and he doesn't know why he does it, and he's scared and he doesn't like it. And that's him telling you, I don't know how to manage emotions. So there's no need to punish this because it's not behavior. It's him not being able to manage the physical manifestation of his body and his emotions, right? So in the moment, breathing, calming, no screaming, no talking. when he starts to, when that wave of anger and that wave of like, comes down, hug. What? I'm not going to reward that ridiculousness. Are you out of your mind, hippie lady? No, it's not about hippie. And it's not about being permissive. It's about helping his stress response, the neurological stress response of those emotions calm down. And the best way for any of us in any age group to calm down is to be in a 20-second hug. So in the hug is when you do the parenting and the advice and the teaching. Buddy, every single day I tell you to stop playing the video game, and you're screaming and throwing things, and you're screaming and throwing things because your frustration takes over your body from your head to your toes. So I'm going to help you breathe. But you broke my vase, so we're not going to be able to buy you that thing that you wanted. But do they need a consequence? My children are 13 and 16 years old. And I'm not saying this to sound all high and mighty, but I have never given them a consequence. But I have always spoken to them about how to manage their emotional responses, because there's an urban myth out there in the world that somehow we could think our way out of feeling big emotion. We cannot think our way out of feeling big emotion. The only way to settle that large neurological emotional response is to concentrate on the body and let go of the tension of the jaw, let go of the tension of your shoulders. You know, all of you don't want to scream at your children. I know you don't. I love parents, right? But why are you screaming at them? Because you start getting tense, and you're just like, and you're blah! And it feels good to scream, people, because you release the tension of the body part of your emotion. So it doesn't matter how many parenting books you read that tells you not to scream at the kid. You're going to scream at them if you don't deal with the tension in your body. So that's the same thing with your son. So hang in there, hang in there, hang in there. Do this for the next 3 to 6 weeks. If you do this, if you deal more with his body, but it's still not changing, I might suggest that he may need an evaluation. Just to see, and the fancy thing that the fancy word that we would be evaluating is his emotional regulation. All right, so here's another person that wants to ask me the question live. So go ahead and unmute yourself and tell me your question.
Yes, so you know Jax from Pineview, 3-year-old, kind of his history.
Yes, hi.
Hi, it's been a while. We are actually kind of dealing now sort of with what the 5-year-old's dealing with, but a little bit of a different angle. For example, he will get frustrated and angry, and then I'll talk to him. Papi, sometimes he'll be in the car, for example, which is my hardest time. He'll start kicking the seat and stuff. I was like, Papi, you can be angry and you can have your emotions, but you can't be kicking the seat or this and that. I have found myself at this point being like, do you want a consequence or something of the sort? Like he won't stop. He keeps going, and then talk to him softly and this and that. The point where he just stops is like, Ja, enough. I've been trying to talk to you nicely, and then just screaming at him. And then he stops. Also, I'm pregnant. Baby's due in the next 2.5 months. And so I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but today at school, he had this really bad tantrum, which he's done for the very first time. So that's why I feel like it's getting a little bit out of hand. Right. My wife dropped him off, and she talked to him, even got out of the car, stayed for a minute, like, Papi, but what's going on? You've never not wanted to stay at school. Like 3 people had to end up grabbing him. And like, it's just, he had this super angriness.
Right. Okay. So, okay. Let me talk about it, kicking in the car, or, back to this idea of calming the body first. right? So in the car, you give the brief prompt that you're doing good job, you get a gold star, love it. And then you say, but buddy, since you're having a hard time stopping, it means that your body needs to settle. So I'm going to open the windows and I'm going to start breathing. And then you stop talking to him. So opening the windows creates a different sensory experience. So it will help the brain kind of reset, because he'll feel the brain will have to stop feeling whatever tension he's feeling in his body that's making him kick the seat, and take in the information of the wind from the opening the windows in the car.
Okay.
Same in the house, right? If you have music on, turn it off. But go back to saying what you're saying. I can't let you kick my seat. You're really frustrated. We're going to take a moment to calm down. I'm going to start breathing. And then you start literally breathe and know that his nervous system will pick up on it. Okay. So that's what you're going to do from now moving forward. Now, your little person, everybody, the mamas that I know is because I am in a lot of preschools and I get to meet them in their preschools. So just those of you that are wondering. I don't think that you're wrong that he's picked up on something's up, right? He's also picking up on your energy. I don't know how far along you are in your pregnancy, but if you're in like if you're in the last trimester or in the first one, he's probably picking up on like you're probably moving slower. And you're probably shorter too, because everybody that's pregnant know that the calories and the energy that the body uses to create a human inside of your body is as if you were running 3 miles. So your son is sensitive. And I'm not using that word in the sense that the world uses it, of like, oh, you're so sensitive and you're so weak. I'm using it in the correct term, which is neurologically, his brain picks up on subtle differences, right? So it is important that if you wake up tired, right, because of your pregnancy, or if you're short, let him know, especially if he's acting up. Papi, I think you're picking up that I'm like that my face changed or that my mood changed. But you're right. I am feeling tired because I'm making a baby. Or you're right. I am feeling tired because I'm a little bit hungry. So those of you that have those children that you can tell that they're like satellite dishes and they pick up on you, talk to them about it. And also start talking to him about what it means to have a sibling, because he may be wondering what's going to happen. Okay, and tell him that it's normal, that it's hard to share, but that, you have 2 hands and you're going to make the, so do talk to him about the new baby, but know that new baby, I think he's picking up more on your energy level, which is subtle, right? But he is highly sensitive. He is a satellite dish. He used to pick up the sensitivity of the teacher in the classroom.
Yeah. So
let him know, hey buddy, I'm a little bit off today. You're right. Okay.
Got it.
Okay. And then keep at it and congrats. Yay.
Thank you.
Baby number 2. All right.
Yeah.
Let me see. I'm going to take another question from the Q&A box. And then, because I have 5 minutes, so I'm going to try to make these short. Okay. How do you reestablish the screen time rules? We have a 11-year-old and a 7-year-old that challenges us, and the 7-year-old follows suit. At what point do we stop the discussion and lay the law down? Right now. Okay. When you guys ask me about screen time, I have to talk to what's really in the way of, laying the law down. And again, you don't have to lay the law down with like, es así, ya no más, right? We don't have to do it that way, right? But we have to be consistent about it, right? So, and why all of you are not doing it is because you're beautiful, loving adults, but you're also stressed out and tired adults. And, you know, when little kids are like, but why, but why, but why, but why, but why? We're always like, ay, okay, fine, okay, dale, 15 minutos, right? But that's when you mess up. So with an 11-year-old, and since the 7-year-old is right there, to reinstitute the screen time rules that you had before, sit down with your child. I will share in the email for those of you that are on the Zoom. The American Pediatric Association has an awesome, like, how to figure out the time of screens kind of thing that you fill out. That it puts into account everything: eating, sleeping, after school activities. So then you can figure out what is actually the best, how much screen time your family actually can do. So I'll send that out in an email. Expect that in the email. This soon will be sent out to you. But in the meantime, I want you to sit with the 11-year-old and be like, okay, baby, I am going to make the final decision, but I want to know if you could use the screen time. And remember that you have to eat. Remember that you have to sleep. Remember that you have to move your body at least for an hour. How much time would you use it? And then see what they tell you. I love to include children in thinking about, when can I do this pleasure? And here's the thing: stop taking away the screen as a consequence. You're giving the screen too much power. It is better to have the screen time every single day at the same time, no matter what, even if they burn down the house, because then you take away the screen's power. Your child is fighting with you because they can't predict when they're going to get that pleasure, right? So they're problem solving. And then when you give them the pleasure, they don't want to stop because they don't know if you're going to lose your mind and take it away for 3 weeks, right? So then they steal the pleasure. The screen is perfect, right? So the best thing to do is to put it in the routine in a predictable place that happens. You know, you don't have to do it every single day. Some families don't want to do it every single day, but the time that you choose, it has to happen no matter what. And this is true of anything that's pleasurable. Playing with you for the younger ones, screen time, and playing with friends, right? Make it predictable. Right. So yes, you lay the law down by putting it in the routine, and then tolerating that they're sad, mad, and frustrated with the boundary that you have set. When your children are sad, mad, and frustrated, they're not frustrated, mad, and sad with you. They are mad, sad, and frustrated with the boundary. And managing and tolerating sadness, frustration is exactly what a human being needs to do to work that muscle, because frustration is a very important feeling to tolerate so that I could be a productive member of the community. Okay, so this is my very, very, very last question that I'm going to answer. If I didn't get to you, I am so sorry. You know, I only have an hour of time. So here we go. Hi, my 6-year-old doesn't like doing homework, but he knows that he needs to do it. Otherwise, the teacher will be mad at him. No, that's problem number 1. I tell him the homework like 6 times, but he does not do it. Then I see that he is waking up and doing it. Good. But working always under pressure could become a bad habit. How can I help him to not create that habit? Routine, 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 routine. Everybody, those of you that have children, 2nd grade and younger, right? This is the time the actual homework is BS. Every single study known to man in the United States and in all of Europe has proven that homework does 0 for the academic growth of an elementary school child. Academic growth and practicing only happens in middle school and high school. However, the educational system hasn't caught up to it. That's why all of the elementary school children are falling apart and screaming and telling you that they don't want to do homework because they know that it's BS. And the studies have proven it. The one thing that helps children with their education and with their academic, increasing academic ability is reading. Okay, reading, 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 reading. However, we have to do it. So as a developmental person, what I like to tell parents is that allow the homework to be an opportunity for your child to manage frustration and disappointment. So how do you help them with the homework? You put it in the routine. Have you noticed that all of the answers to most of your questions is, how's your routine? You have a consistent, predictable routine and your life gets easier. So every single day at the same time, you set a timer for homework, right? And the time of homework is you email your teacher, hello teacher, how long should it take for my child to do their homework? And the teacher says to you, oh, he's in kindergarten, it should only take him 30 minutes. Perfect. Put a timer for 30 minutes, sit him in the same place, in the same spot for 30 minutes and tell him, do your homework. And you are going to be thinking, and you're going to be nearby. If they're in kindergarten, first grade, or second grade, they need your body nearby, somewhere. Hey, you're getting distracted. Get back to the work. Hey, you're getting distracted. Get back to your work. They need your prompt because one more time, you are managing and helping them tolerate the frustration of having to do this responsibility, right? And homework is not about making the teacher happy. Homework is about practicing what we did for the day. And then if they don't finish it, it does, when the timer goes off, if they don't finish it, if they didn't touch it, it doesn't matter. You pick it up, you put it in the folder, and you send them to school. If he wakes up in the morning and he's like rushing to do the homework, you don't say anything. Leave him alone. But do put that moment of homework, same place, same time, with a timer, especially K through 2. Okay? All right, everybody. I know that for some of you, I unfortunately was not able to answer your question, so I apologize about that. There will be another one next month where I will answer your questions. But if you love me and you like what I did and you want to get more of me, I recommend that you do parenting consultation with me. In the parenting consultation, I do exactly what I did here, but it's you and me for an hour and a half talking specifically about your needs, your child, your family. When you finish the parenting consultation with me, you will know the why of their behavior, the solution to the behavior, and a plan for the behavior. So I highly, highly, highly recommend doing a parenting consultation with me. Go to the website, hit contact, and you can schedule that in, and or join my online parenting subscription. The parents that do the online parenting subscription, they get me like this, like you just did, every Tuesday at 1 o'clock Eastern, and I answer 6 people. I answer their questions and I take 10 minutes of it. When you join the parenting subscription, you have a year, like you have me answering questions to parents like this. I did Zoom before Zoom was popular. And for since 2016. So your question is probably answered in one of those recordings that are in a private area of the website. So go to onlineparentingsupport.com and join my subscription, and then you can have me in your pocket answering your questions. And if you just want to get awesome information from me, follow me on the social. On Facebook, it's at Stop Parenting Alone. On Instagram, it's me at Parenting Expert. On Clubhouse, for those of you that heard that I was on Clubhouse all day, I'm also at Parenting Expert, and on Twitter I am Parenting Relief. When you follow me on Twitter, you get to see me post things about families and policies, because I am an advocate for policy and law changes to help children and families. And I tend to do a lot of that on Twitter, because what I realize is that for a lot of families, some of your things that are really, really, really hurting you is because you've hit against the wall of a system, whether it's the public school system or the medical system. and or just your work system, and it keeps you from being a good parent. Anyways, thank you everybody for being on today. Until next time, and get yourself a parenting consultation. I highly recommend it. Bye.